Definitely make sure you stick out to the end of this video because you're gonna make your reverb sound way more professional. I'm gonna teach you all the tips and tricks what all the professionals in the industry use. Also like this video, subscribe to my channel to not miss out any tech house production, house music production tutorials, and also check out my music on Spotify. I have a few tracks which are coming out. So I have this track I produced which is called I Want It. Definitely make sure also check that out on Spotify. I'm gonna show you the basic tricks all on this track. So the first trick I want to show you guys today is basically sideshading the reverb to the vocals. So the vocals by itself just sound like this. Okay, if we now add a sort of reverb, in this case I'm using the Valhalla Supermassive, it just sounds like this. Make it a bit more extreme. Let's just like increase the volume of the reverb to make it really extreme. It's very washed out. You need to make sure that the reverb is ducking down every single time the vocals are playing. So what we're basically going to do here is, if for an FL Studio, you just basically assign the vocals to a reverb channel, which is this one here. And then on the reverb channel, you have obviously like Valhalla Supermassive or the Fruity Reverb or whatever reverb plugin you're choosing. And then what we're doing is basically we're installing the Fruity limiter, and there's this little section here. We go on the compression section, and then we're going to double click on the sidechain button, and we're going to assign it to the vocal channel where the vocals are coming from, which in this case is vocal 2. Then we're going to enable the compression, let's say a 3:1 or 4:1, very fast attack, because we want to make sure that every single time the vocals are playing, the reverb is ducked down. And then yeah, obviously we're going to enable the threshold. That's just a very, very extreme example. You can see here already every single time the vocals are coming in here, the reverb is ducked down. We don't want to make it that intense, so we're just going to do it like this. Which just definitely makes already a big difference. Then the second tip, what I'm usually using, is definitely a filter, or like a high pass and low pass filter. We definitely want to cut away, as always, everything below 200 Hertz. Also make sure to check out this video here, which explains exactly how to mix your kick and your bass properly in your tech house tracks. It explains it really well, and it explains also how important it is to cut away those low frequencies from every other element than your kick and your bass. Then what we also do to create more clarity is to cut away those high frequencies, like let's say everything above 30 in the K. The reason why we're doing this is because the hi-hats are using a lot of high frequencies, and we want to make sure that those high frequencies are actually there for the hi-hats and not used by some elements, or like a reverb. It doesn't really need the high frequencies there. As soon as we hear the reverb properly, as soon as we don't like cut away the body of the reverb, we should be pretty fine if we still cut away everything like at 15K, for example. Then the next secret tip as well, how to make your vocals then more clear, is to look on the vocals and see what are the most relevant frequencies when the vocals are playing. And as you can see, so the most relevant frequencies are between 600 and 4000 Hertz. So what we're gonna do then is basically we're gonna just go on the reverb, and we're gonna duck down the volume of the reverb and the frequencies. We're gonna EQ this like area where the vocals are the most intense. Because we want to hear the reverb, we still want to make sure that the vocals are coming through and punching through the mix. And like with this trick, cutting the lows, cutting the highs, and then making a low shelf filter in the middle where the vocals are most relevant, creates more clarity to the vocals. But you can still hear the reverb, and it makes it really, really clear. I'm gonna zip my coffee. Anything else? I want to give you one bonus tip now. Make sure you do a sidechain compression also to the reverb. For example, all my reverbs, like the short reverb from the vocals, the long reverb, they all go to a reverb bus, okay? And on this reverb bus, as always, there's like a few Fruity limiters installed, but one of them is actually in the sidechain mode for the kick. So we want to make sure that the kick is punching through the reverb as well. We want to make sure the kick is punching through the bass, sidechaining them, but also through the reverbs, through maybe even the synthesizers, or all the stuff which is not as relevant as the kick, because I would say the kick is the most important thing, and you can definitely sidechain the kick, and you can definitely sidechain the reverb also to the kick.